Hi, and welcome to Back to the Balcony, the podcast about movies and culture from a classic century. I'm your host, Jimmy England, and this is a special Christmas episode of the podcast. Normally, we only do one Christmas episode a season, but this year we are doing two because my good friend, comedian Ryan Sim, insisted that we do it, and that is to talk about 1951's A Christmas Carol, also known as Scrooge in the United Kingdom. And sometimes over here, I think on Prime, if you look it up under A Christmas Carol, you won't find it. But if you look it up under Scrooge, you can. Anyway, he was very insistent on doing this one because it turns out he's related to Alistair Sim. And he's going to explain that in the podcast. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, a great way to get into the Christmas spirit. I think you'll enjoy it. And let's jump right into it. As always, once I stop looking at you and doing my silly stuff here, this is an audio podcast, so you can just don't worry about the picture and just listen to it. I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, here we go, A Christmas Carol with Ryan Sim.
This is my Poppy's podcast. He likes to talk about movies from the 20th century. That's like 1,000,000 years ago. He knows a lot, but his friends must know even more, because they're always telling him he's wrong. But he's funny and interesting and a good Poppy, even if he doesn't know what a spoiler is. Enjoy!
Salutations and best of the season, if it's in keeping with the situation. I'm Jimmy England here at Back to the Balcony, the podcast about movies and culture from a classic century. I'm joined by Phil, my personal Bob Cratchit, for a very special Christmas season podcast, one of two we're going to do this month, devoted to the Christmas season. Today, we're going to talk about 1951's A Christmas Carol, and in 2 weeks' time, we're going to talk about 1992's The Muppet Christmas Carol, and get another perspective on this same classic ghost story. What makes this episode special is that we are joined by Ryan Sim, who not only loves this movie, but is related to the star, Alistair Sim. Let's cut to the chase. How are you related?
I did Ancestry.ca, and he is my great uncle.
Get away.
Yeah, I have proof right here.
Yeah, well, they also said I'm related to Queen Victoria and Genghis Khan, so I'm not exactly sure I'm impressed by your lousy little, I'm related to Alistair Sim.
Listen, this isn't a movie. This is a family affair, and you watch it.
Have you always known this, or was there a day when your parents went, oh, by the way, you're related to Alistair Sim, and your whole world just changed?
Yeah, it was almost like when my mom said I was related to the milkman and my dad didn't come home for 6 months. We've always been biased. We think this is the best version of the many, I think there's probably 15 different versions of this. But the more I get older and talk to people, I do think this is the best. But we have always said that this is a family member, and now I have genetic proof that I am related to him, and I am now a suspect in many murders.
Was it required viewing in the Sim household when you were growing up? Did you watch that every Christmas?
Every Christmas Eve, we got together, we watched this version, and we had hors d'oeuvres. We got those President's Choice, and veggie sticks and celery, because my mom, my aunt, everyone cooks the next day. And we watched this version. And one year, when DVDs came out, we got the colorized version. And we decided it was so traumatizing that we watched A Christmas Story with Ralphie the next 2 years in a row until someone found a remastered black and white version. So it's required viewing, and it used to be on TV, and they started taking off for some stupid Muppet version in the 90s.
Well, there you go. We have talked about this for literally years, and you kept going, Jimmy, I want to talk about A Christmas Carol. I want to talk about A Christmas Carol. Are the rest of the family as invested in this as you are?
Yeah. Actually, my brother says that he got into acting because of Alistair Sim.
Really?
Yeah.
And what about you? Do you feel that you've got a little Alistair Sim in you?
Well, my son's name Alec. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So there's Alistair Sim, and then we got two Al Sims.
Two.
I don't know, but I'm very proud of this version for selfish reasons. I haven't sat down and watched this version in a few years.
Really?
Because, after university, I found this thing called beer, and it just made me want to watch baseball instead. But I'll tell you this. There's something special about this version. Is it 51? Is that when this is from?
1951, yeah.
It's almost 75 years old.
The special effects in this are pretty good, too. The ghosts are literally creepy in the black and white version. I don't like the color version.
It's only 6 years after the war. You got to remember that that's 6 years that they had to build up their industry. They had to make do with whatever they had. They didn't have the best equipment necessarily, but they did an admirable job, I must confess.
And I think you must be influenced by this movie too, right, Jimmy? Because you look like Jacob Marley.
We compliment each other because you still look like Scrooge. Do you have any Alistair Sim keepsakes, or all you got is the fact that you can pull up this bogus Ancestry.ca thing?
So this is hearsay, but my grandfather has a beautiful Scottish beret that he claims was Alistair's, given to him when he went and visited Scotland in the 60s.
Well, that would be a really cool story if it were true, but I'm reminded of one my wife used to have. Her uncle, it was in England, and he was an antique dealer, and they gave this thing to them when they were there one time. It's called a devil's head. And they used to put a candle inside of it when prisoners were there to scare them into confessing, and the candle would make the eyes glow at the prisoner. Years later, when her parents died, it got passed on down. And Antiques Roadshow was down at locally. They're driving to Toronto, and on the way down, they're going, on our way back, we'll buy that Mercedes there, and we're going to buy that Rolls Royce. This thing will be worth a fortune because it's so rare. Yeah. And they get there, and they put it on the table, and the appraiser looks at it and goes, where's the lid? And they go, what lid? He goes, it's a cookie jar. They thought they had a thumbprint on the bottom. Nobody bothered to look close at it. It's actually the date it was made. Incredible. Now, he had a good career on the stage and in movies and TV in Britain. Have you seen any of his other movies? You know, close relative like you must have seen them.
Funny fact, I haven't. I do know that he was a very accomplished stage actor.
Yeah, very much so. That's evident from what you see him is acting in this movie. He has a range, incredible range. I can tell you some of his best were School for Scoundrels, The Green Man, The Bells of St. Trinian's.
There's an argument, and let's pretend like I'm not related. There's an argument that he might be one of the most accomplished Scottish actors of the last 100 years.
Really?
I would think so.
Mind you, Harry Langdon and a lot of other ones went on to have great careers, but...
well, Sean Connery's Scottish.
Sean Connery. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Right.
Well, the good news is Alistair never punched women, so we're good.
You know, in some respect, it's a sappy, sentimental movie, but it's still moving. Hopefully, we can get into why that is later on. Do you remember the first time you ever saw it?
Yeah, I literally have seen this movie since I can even remember. The first time I do remember, I was about 5 years old, and I remember covering my brother, who at the time was 2.
Right.
I remember covering his eyes because I thought he'd be afraid of the ghost scenes, but really I was closing my eyes too. I was really freaked out, especially that little ghost of the future. Oof.
It is a scary movie. Now, how old do you think a kid should be to watch the movie?
I haven't shown my son, he's almost 6. I think he would be creeped out by it, literally.
Yeah.
So we used to watch this. It used to be on Christmas Eve, literally on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, there's always some station that would have it on.
CBC and stuff.
Yeah.
And they might be on the older channels still, but 7 or 8, maybe you could start to show kids this. The scariest movie I remember seeing as a kid, I really didn't like King Kong. I was about 6 years old. I was freaked out by King Kong. So yeah, I would say 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll say 8 or 9. You're probably old enough to watch this and understand the message. Because right now, my son's old enough to just kind of be creeped out by a man haunted by ghosts who are also giving him crap. It's not just a boo. It's also like, you're a piece of crap. Boo, change your life. It's like it's pretty intense.
It is. It actually is.
It's a bad Christmas Eve. And we would watch it on Christmas Eve. And I remember trying to go to bed going, are you excited for Santa? I'm like, yeah, but like, are those ghosts coming? You know what I mean? Especially you said it runs in the family. Like, what's going on here?
Well, let's see who thought a book written in the 19th century would make a good movie in the mid-20th century. It was directed by Brian Desmond Hurst. It was written by Noel Langley from the book by Charles Dickens. The cast included Alistair Sim, Kathleen Harrison, Mervyn Jones, Hermione Baddeley, Michael Hordern, George Cole, Francis DeWolf, Michael Dolan, and Glenn Dearman. And in an absolute surprise to me, and I've watched this movie, I don't know how many, a dozen times at least, but appearing as a young Jacob Marley, Patrick McNeil. I'll pause and see if either one of you knows who he is, what he went on to fame in the 1960s.
Obviously, we don't know. Can we have a hint?
It was with Diana Rigg, and it was a television series.
Get Smart?
Get Smart was American, not British. This was British.
Doctor Who?
The Avengers. Okay, I expected this. It's actually a spy movie, basically, but it is one of the most freaky programs to watch, and he was so good. He played this suave guy and with a bowler hat and a cane, and she was this martial arts expert, but they would get into these, I don't know how to describe it, got into its heyday, and then it kind of trickled off at the end. It was a great series. I highly recommend it. I actually own the whole series here. That's how much I think of it. Anyways, A Christmas Carol was released on my second birthday, December 2nd, 1951, although according to Turner Classics, it was actually released at Halloween. Is it more Halloween than it is Christmas?
No, it's called A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
This story is about redemption and revision of yourself. And the Christmas holiday, that's what they're kind of trying to say. It's about getting together and seeing what you're thankful for. It is not Thanksgiving, but it's also, what's the spirit of the holiday? Spirit, literally spirits.
It's interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the few movies where the ghosts don't come to haunt anybody. That is actually, as you say, about redemption.
I mean, there's scary moments for sure, but
Yeah.
it is about redemption.
Yeah, but the scary moments are not intended to scare anybody. It's an unintentional side effect of trying to redeem Scrooge.
This is crazy. There's been officially over 130 adaptions of this, more than 25 feature films, 50 plus television specials, animated, and then a lot of sitcoms have a version of this story as a loose adaptation. And it's not a Halloween movie. It's one of the pinnacle Christmas movies. But I do think that the Alistair Sim version so far is at least the best Scrooge we've had.
I'm going to do something I don't do with you very often.
Here it comes.
But you are right.
Okay, ding, ding, ding. Can we add post effects here? Oh my God. Can you say that again?
As I said earlier, he has this incredible range. The Scrooge at the beginning of this story is scary just to look at.
Yeah.
He has a manner about him that is flat out terrifying. But at the end, he's giddy with joy. That is,
is it giddiness? Does he seem almost insane, or like from lack of sleep because the spirits kept him up all night? Right.
Well, it's an interesting question, but I think that's by design because he is just so relieved, as we would be if we'd been through what he had just been, and he finds out he can redeem himself and the world can change. The consequences that he saw do not have to come true.
That's true. Yeah.
Everything from Tiny Tim to, well, obviously he's going to die at some point in time, which is one of the weirdest scenes when he falls on top of his grave.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to live forever? Like, what is this all about here?
Not too many people were there, but people still did care, if you noticed. The power of people. I think, didn't some people still care, or did no one care?
I think they're just trying to sell his stuff, at the end. No, when he redeemed himself, they cared about him. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Like
when he went to his nephew's house for that party?
Yeah.
They were easily forgiving him, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the point they were making is that he didn't want to open up to anybody, but everybody else was trying to show that they were willing to embrace him, especially Fred. I think Fred is the primary one in this, not so much Bob Cratchit. I don't care how uncheerful you are, I'm going to be cheerful for you. And let's face it, the guy's in his 20s. This isn't the first time he's visited his uncle and had this grumpy guy behind the desk who had no interest in him.
He's the original ass.
Yeah.
You're right, but let's go back to the Charles Dickens story. It's one of the greatest stories ever written that I can think in modern times. It's so powerful.
It's so original.
It's so original. When you see that it's been adapted over 125 times, plus that doesn't include hundreds and hundreds of stage productions.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, actually, my brother got into acting. Once again, I forgot to mention, but my brother's a professional actor. His first role was playing Scrooge in his grade 8 play as Scrooge, as an homage to our family. And he did such a good job there that he became an actor. I think he did such a good job to respect the fact that the version we watched was this version, and he knew to play this role, you need literal range. Like you said, as an actor, the transformation from the start of the film to the end, I don't care that it was made in 1951. The special effects aren't that bad, and when you watch it, it doesn't feel like an old movie. You actually feel like you're watching the transformation of one person. Yeah, I could see it can be seen as insane, but that's because he's changed so profoundly.
Yeah.
He literally becomes so different that you're like, is he insane or has he literally become something else? I don't know. I watched it. I went, damn, this is a good story and good acting.
Was Scrooge cheap, or does he just have a profound, no sense of charity or responsibility to his fellow man? Is that what motivates him? That lack of charity? Or is it the fact that he's a miser?
He is a miser.
Yeah.
But is that an offshoot of it?
And I'll give you the example. When he was sitting in the restaurant and he was eating his soup and he asked for more bread and the waiter told him that it would be more money. And he said, no more bread or something like that.
Yeah. He's a miser. This was before, the billionaires could go on social media and pretend like they're giving back by donating $1 million to some charity that they run themselves. Scrooge was cheap as heck.
Yeah, he was.
Scrooge was a cheapskate, but he was also, I think Schadenfreude? I think he found pleasure in other people's misfortune. In any version I've seen, actually the best version of them asking for Christmas Eve off was the Muppet Christmas Carol that you're going to talk about, but I like Kermit sort of asking if they can have it off. And Michael Caine, I'll be honest, maybe top 3 adaptions of that. Crabby old man. Would he have been a better character had he actually got married and had kids? Is he just...
I think he was jaded because of the relationship that didn't work out.
I think we need to get into that as we go along a little bit deeper. Now, one of the big things that he always says is bah humbug. I'm just curious, Ryan, do you know what the humbug is?
No, I thought it was a sexual thing. What is it?
Actually, I know, Jim.
When my mother used to have people over, a humbug was a type of candy. But in this instance, this goes back to the 19th century. P.T. Barnum in particular, before he had the circus, he had a museum of curiosities. A lot of them were fake. The Fiji mermaid, which was a monkey sewed up to a fish tail, they referred to it as a humbug whenever something was a sham and whenever something was a fake. So that's what it meant when he said humbug.
So he meant it's a sham?
Christmas was a sham.
Oh, Christmas is fake. A fake holiday doesn't matter.
Holiday, why are you asking for the day off? That kind of thing.
For a guy to truly believe that, that's how sad that guy's life was.
Yeah.
All he cared about was money, and yet he didn't want to spend it. That's what I don't get about Scrooge. Yeah. What was his end game?
Yeah.
He wanted all this money? Why? Just to bring people down so that they felt as bad as he did?
Well, that's where the whole charity thing comes into my mind, and that is that he wanted accumulation, but paying for that extra bread, he didn't want to give away any of his money because that way that person could benefit for whatever he gave them. He did not want. He wasn't a
young guy.
No.
What was he hanging on to his money
for?
for?
But that's not unusual. How often do you hear about somebody who dies and it turns out they've been living in a shoebox on bread crusts and they've got several $1 million salted away somewhere?
Exactly.
But it seems like he did sort of care about. The only person prior to him changing that he seemed to care about was, it seems like he cared about you. I mean, sorry, Jacob,
Yeah.
Do you think he cared about Jacob?
He was the first ghost that visited him. And he seemed concerned that Jacob was in purgatory.
No. He seemed like, well, what do I have to say to get rid of this ghost? I would say that that's what that was all about. Because if that was it, I would have reformed at that point. This is what's happening to you, Scrooge. You're going to be like me, and I'm miserable. Did that change his way? No, it didn't. He just wanted...
No, but you had
in fact, he blamed him on I think at that point, he was still blaming the bad piece of meat.
Yeah, he did. He did say that. But the problem is that... It's a process. The transformation had to happen over like the 4 visit.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't just flip the switch on the first visit.
That's the whole point, though. I don't think he was really sentimental about Marley at all. I didn't see it, but apparently there's one version of this where usually when people die, you put 2 coins on their eyes to pay the ferryman to get over. It's an old whatever. And Scrooge takes the 2 coins off of dead Marley's face.
No.
So that's not this one, okay?
So he's a friggin' miser.
Well, I couldn't find financials.
Scrooge is like the mafia guys that, as they're leaving the Sopranos, Paulie takes the watch from the guy he just killed, and the shoes,
Well, I couldn't find the financials, but it didn't do well at the box office outside of Britain, where it was released as Scrooge, not A Christmas Carol. When it was released in America, it was rebranded A Christmas Carol, but never got traction because they didn't know how to treat it. It even lost a chance to be part of the Radio City Music Hall Christmas programming. They thought it was too dark for families. Is it overly dark, or is it appropriate for children? Well, older children, I guess you said.
Yeah, it's not a Halloween movie, but this movie is way too dark for 51. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy as heck. I'm not swearing today out of respect to the movie's old, I guess. I usually don't swear, but I just realized, I don't know, Jimmy. Do you know, did it win awards?
No. Not as far as I know. If they did, it would be in Britain. I don't think it got anything outside of it.
Funny that you mentioned Scrooge, because when I was looking this up on Amazon, on Prime, and it said Scrooge, and I saw 1951. I said, it's got to be the same movie, right?
Yeah.
And it was. But you're right, the different titling.
It does confuse you a little bit today.
Yeah,
So when did it get traction? Kind of like what my family did when we restarted watching it on syndicated TV?
I think that's it in 1954. It's kind of like followed the same pattern of It's a Wonderful Life, which was not a big, huge hit in 1939 when it came out.
Right.
And the same thing happened with this. Face it, it comes over. It's from England. It's 1951. Tastes have moved on a little bit. It's British. But once they started playing it as a Christmas...
I'm sorry, did you just say British and taste in the same sentence?
I did.
I don't think that those match, but I understand what you meant.
I go back to the island myself. Is it just the moral of this thing that keeps us watching it year in and year out?
Well, unfortunately, there are aspects of Scrooge in all of us at some point. I'll be honest. And no one wants to be visited by their past, whether it's a ghost or just like a bad dream.
That's an interesting take.
And when we watch this, obviously he's over the top.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of people, not like Scrooge and being just an old miser, but there are a lot of people that are alone at Christmas. Mm-hmm. And it can be very isolating. And until those spirits visited Scrooge, he doesn't like this time of the year. Let's be honest, because he has nowhere to go, or at least he doesn't think he does.
No.
And he doesn't like that people are taking the day off and then going and having like a nice day. He just wants everyone to kind of be curmudgeon. Did I use that word?
Curmudgeon,
Yeah,
that's right.
the whole saying that misery loves company. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's possibly the most popular black and white movie of all time, not necessarily at the theater, but because it gets watched over and over and over again. How does the black and white help it? Is it better? You said you see it in
I
color?
saw it. The only thing that was enhanced in the color version was that creepy little kid ghost.
Right.
Really creepy. But the final ghost, what was that ghost's name? It almost looks like death.
Yeah.
Ghost of Christmas Future.
He almost looked like the Grim Reaper, right?
Yeah, Grim Reaper. So in the black and white version, all of those scenes with the mist and the haze and his bedroom and the shadows, it's way creepier.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the blacks that they use in that movie give it a real foreboding grimness. If you do it with a color thing, then you usually have to add a lot of shadows in order to try and create that same ambiance. But in this movie, it just jumps right out at you.
And he'd always do those transitions with his cloak.
Yeah.
So he'd lift the cloak up and then it would transition to a different scene. I thought that was kind of cool.
The ghost special effects, especially the floating one,
Right?
Yeah.
they're good.
They are good for 1951.
Remember, 51. Look at the other movies from 51. Even Little Shop of Horrors, like 56 or something. It was good, but it wasn't. Those look like ghosts. They do.
Yeah.
Maybe that one scene where when they're flying, I don't know. If I showed this to my son, he wouldn't go, this looks fake.
Yeah.
I actually think he'd be creeped out because it still looks.
So your son wouldn't say,
I
bah
think
humbug?
it would have looked fake in color, but it looks real in black and white.
That's how I felt. It took away from the experience. The same way I still keep my TV at 24 frames a second. When the movies are now at 30 frames a second, it's clearer. It looks too like I'm there. I still need it to look like a movie.
Does it make a lot of sense why Scrooge became the way he did? We saw everything in Days of Christmas Past, and I came away from that going, hold on, most of this stuff, well, there's the one issue with Fan dying, but most of this stuff would really be okay. He was at school by himself, and his sister came to visit him. Father's so much better, and that seems to me to say happier times. And he saw at the time with Fezziwig, that was happier times too. Was it credible that that's what made Scrooge the man that he became?
I kind of want Phil to talk first.
There's a couple things. It's the father did not have a good relationship with him earlier on. So I think that years of having that bad relationship with your dad would leave you disgruntled, jaded, whatever the case may be. And then when you pile on what happened to his sister, I think that and the relationship breaking up with his fiance or his girlfriend,
right?
You add them all up, you can see how his character would progress to be more the way he became. Early on, you saw him as being, when he was working for Fezziwig, he was he was progressive, and he was saying, like, I don't think the machines replacing people is going to be a good thing, right? Like, he was the polar opposite of what he ended up being. And I think it was those series of events that led to that.
I think the Fezziwig one is the one that confuses me the most because he clearly has great memories of Fezziwig when he gets there.
Yes.
Yet what do we see? We see that he apparently bankrupted Fezziwig eventually. And that seems so contrary to how did that ever happen? There was no explanation
but that scene, though, he didn't bankrupt him per se. That scene where Fezziwig was in the office with that other gentleman, I forget what his name was. He was saying to that gentleman that, it's better for me to go out and let it go bankrupt than to try and make a quick buck on the backs of other people and the pain of it and suffering from other people.
That was
right?
Mr. Jorkin.
Yeah, Jorkin, yeah.
And just remember, it's English literature, so they don't explain trauma. They just suppress it,
A lot of the things that he saw made him happy. They were good memories. They were not bad memories. There's only the one. That's
the point. They're trying to remember that. I said sometimes we have a little bit of Scrooge in us.
Right.
The ghost was saying, hey, remember
the good time.
You've become Scrooge. You weren't always Scrooge,
Right.
And actually, Scrooge has become a word. That's not a name anymore. When someone is a Scrooge, we're talking about his demeanor. This character is so powerful that when I hear Scrooge, we all know what kind of person that guy is. That's still in our vernacular in 2025.
Yeah, it's
and bah humbug. We've all heard it. I now found out exactly what it means, but I also know it. I thought it meant, that's BS or whatever. I don't care.
In a sense, it is because it's saying that something is a fake, something is a sham.
If we remade this now, right? Scrooge would say, that's BS, and he would be all upset about AI taking over our jobs. I'm going to write it, and he's going to be a TikTok billionaire.
Was Fezziwig going out of business inevitable?
Yes.
Well, yeah, because I think this is a perfect example of Scrooge could have ran a modern corporate company easy. Scrooge was a sociopath, not a psychopath, and sociopaths are the people that can run big businesses. Why? Same thing in A Christmas Story. Bill Murray's brother,
right?
Who Bill Murray played Scrooge in Scrooge, which is a good adaptation. You have to not care for the bottom line. And if you do care, and same thing in our community,
you care about the bottom line. You just don't care what it takes to get to the bottom line.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're in stand-up comedy, and there's some elements of truth to that. That's just how certain people get ahead. And sometimes being too nice, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get ahead. It just means you're a nice guy.
Ryan, if you're trying to haunt me, could you at least go, ooh?
Booze.
But that one scene, though, where they were all sitting around the table and they were discussing Jorgensen possibly going bankrupt because I think he was embezzling money out of his own company. And then Scrooge and Marley had a proposal to buy the additional shares to give them 51% ownership. And that would obviously cut the shares of the people sitting across the table from him. So you could see how manipulative and how conniving he was and a ruthless businessman.
And that's a sociopath. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little biblical,
Right.
In the end, they're saying that even a guy like Scrooge, who has spent his whole life shunning the world and just saying, I'm just going to take for me at whatever it takes, even if I do nothing with it, like hoard the money and do nothing with it. And to be honest, it must be a Sim family trait. My dad's whole diet growing up was Swanson TV dinners, but they had money. My mom came from nothing. My mom was raised by a single mother because my grandfather died when he was 26. She had two daughters, my mom, my aunt. And my dad would leave his house where they had money and go to my mom's house to eat just because my grandpa, everyone just got a small Swanson TV dinner for dinner and that was it. My grandpa used to go to Chinese food buffets at lunch to the point where he's so full, so when he came home, he wasn't that hungry. So that means everyone else didn't eat very much.
Oh, geez.
That's a Scrooge.
That's a Scrooge.
That's a Sim.
There's a lot of scenes here to bring a tear to the eye, but is the Cratchit family maybe a tear too far?
You think it's overly sympathetic?
They looked remarkably well for a family whose breadwinner was earning a pittance from Scrooge.
Well, they were excited about the eldest son being able to make a wage, right? So to help out the family. That scene.
Well, they had a turkey, did they? Not a goose.
They had a goose, but then they had a goose in the original scene.
You want to eat a Canadian goose? Come on.
Let me put it to you this way. What kind of a family allows their children to have a gin punch? All of a sudden,
Hang on.
So,
don't
yeah,
judge.
that was
Don't
in there.
judge. You know, up until 20 years ago, people were rubbing whiskey on toothaches of babies. Come on.
They've stopped.
It's true. I did see that scene. I was like, is that actually, are they actually referring to gin?
Yeah. Not only that, we can have 2 gin punches.
Just 2 gin punches.
And all of a sudden,
it is the Holies, Jim. Come on.
Well, all of a sudden, why Bob Cratchit was late to work the next day becomes abundantly clear. Maybe it's just me, but there you go. Actually, one of the great scenes was early on when Tiny Tim is looking in the store window and at the animated Christmas display. That's all gone now, basically. But do either of you remember when stores used to do that? Because that was a thing.
That was a huge thing,
That was
right?
a huge thing. Did you ever see that, Ryan? You're younger than either Phil or I.
I know they did in big cities.
We used to be a big city.
I grew up in a small town. The best I can do is we had a comic book store and they would put the new editions in the window. We'd all get all excited about that.
I remember Eaton's downtown. They would have crowds on James Street looking in the window to see it. In Toronto, they used to do it in the Bay store until the last couple of years ago. There was a huge thing with a number of windows. Actually, I was in New York City during the American Thanksgiving weekend, years ago now, about 10, 15 years ago. And Macy's had a huge unveiling, and the streets were packed with people coming to see the Macy's animated window. It was a phenomenal thing. I don't know if they still do it, but that just reminded me of it when I watched that. It's interesting that the ghosts do not accentuate what happens if you're a good person. They show what happens if you're a bad person. Now, does that say something about us? Are we more likely to embrace religion, say, if we're told that we're going to have a terrible outcome if we don't behave ourselves?
For religion?
You're tying it to religion. But I think in order to get him to change his ways, you would need to scare him a bit in order to show how bad things would get.
Is that the key for us, for change for us? We have to be shown how bad something is, not how good something can be?
I think this movie's against capitalism. You know,
I think you're right. It's a very socialist movie.
And at the end, remember you said, is he insane?
Yeah.
I think that's the sound of a man laughing because his...
But it sounds hysterical, though,
Yeah,
right?
well, I think that's the sound of capitalism having a nervous breakdown. You know, you said, is, Tiny Tim's family over the top? I guess there's that saying, like, money can't buy happiness. You go to Cuba, in this region of the world, it's one of the poorest countries, and yet we all go to have a good time, but Cuban people tend to be happy. And a lot of people go, why? They have nothing. They go, they have each other. That's what Tiny Tim's family had. They had each other. They had support. They had love.
Yeah.
And you don't really need much more than that. Love, family support, maybe a stinky goose.
Although I would say, without Scrooge's help at the end, Tiny Tim would probably have not survived, right? And he thrived.
Yeah.
He actually ended up thriving with the help of money, right?
Yeah.
So it's ironic we're calling this a socialist film, but you need the capital to actually do
Scrooge,
things in life.
I am Santa Claus. I am destroyer of apathy.
The death of his sister Fan is one of the pivotal moments in the visions of the past, and is the one thing that could kind of see him turning, a reason why he turned, rather. I thought it was strange. He was in there. She's talking to him. He walks out before she finishes, and her husband, I believe, was there. And I just wondered why she would ask Scrooge to take care of her son Fred and not her husband.
I would say it's weird, but I didn't know that was her husband, though.
I'm assuming it was because he looked at him. The baby cried.
Yeah.
And he turned and looked at the baby with,
I guess that was the last person that Scrooge felt like truly loved him. Having someone close die can really make someone, but her husband was poor and couldn't provide, and Scrooge could.
Well, that might make sense. And of course, he's thunderstruck by it when he realized that Fan wanted him to take care of Fred,
because
this nephew he ignored.
And treated poorly. Although when you looked at his house, he didn't seem to be doing too badly,
No,
right?
But that proves that, yeah, you can still be a provider, but it's a mix. So you did say Tiny Tim's life was saved through money.
Yes.
But he wasn't happy because of money. And maybe it's trying to show that we do need money in this stupid capitalist society, but that's not all we need.
That's right.
And you can't just rely on love either.
And it needs to benefit people,
Yeah.
right? Rather than kind of make them miserable.
Yeah, I think we need to have a delicate balance.
Is Scrooge ever really, truly redeemed? I mean, he bankrupted people. He threw them into the poorhouse. but he ends up staying rich, but a nicer guy as a result.
The whole town loved him, right? When that last scene when he's walking through the town.
Well, you know what? Give me a few million and I'll be a happy guy too. It's pretty easy to do. It doesn't matter how you got the money. It's not like he gave it all back.
So Scrooge was redeemed internally. They should make a sequel, Scrooge 2, next Christmas. And we'll see how he's doing. You know, he's probably like, wait. He's probably like figured out, all right, I'm going to give everyone like $20.
Yeah.
The movie world is different now, but back then the foreign films weren't taken seriously at the Academy Awards like we were talking about earlier. Should it have been under consideration of that year? Is it that good of a film?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Do you want to know what the other films were that were up for Academy Awards?
I absolutely don't. I'm joking. Yeah, I do.
Well, I don't know if I want to tell you now.
I do, actually.
All right. They were All About Eve, Born Yesterday, a movie we talked about a little while ago, Father of the Bride, and King Solomon's Mines and Sunset Boulevard. And it was won by All About Eve. Those are good movies.
Those are good movies. Yeah. So I can maybe see why.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Those movies are good movies, but are they iconic like this movie?
Some are. Sunset Boulevard, definitely. Born Yesterday, actually all of them are still. Father of the Bride has been remade. Probably King Solomon's Mines is the weak sister in this whole thing.
Yeah, maybe get rid of that.
The rest of them are very, very strong contenders. I suspect that A Christmas Carol didn't have the polish that the Hollywood movies had.
Because this is considered a British film, right?
Yes.
But the accents weren't that
No.
thick, though. I didn't think.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
It's just kind of weird. But
It felt like a Hollywood movie. I didn't realize it was filmed completely in London. I think probably that's what we're talking about here, is that maybe that was taken into consideration. But if we're talking about pure acting performances.
Yeah, just going to get there. Should he have been up for an Oscar?
Him himself, maybe not in the movie, but his performance as best lead actor, there's a 100% argument that he should have been in that contention and possibly won. Like, it's one of the best performances I've ever seen.
One of the most expressive faces you'll ever see.
Yeah,
I mean,
he wasn't really a looker, was he?
No. But
That's my grandmother's side.
no, but the point is that he's not a looker, but he knew how to make that face behave in a way that would make you scared just by being looked at by him. You knew what he was thinking, or you thought you knew what he was thinking just by how he looked.
So what you're saying is he was a good actor and he should have been up for consideration.
No question about it there.
yeah, he should have.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm asking you, do you think he should have got a nod for best actor at least at the awards that year?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think he should have been. But
he
as I
was
said back
robbed.
then,
I think we should start a.
Yeah, we should repetition. You know, this is the first time we've agreed on stuff, and I guess that means it's not going to get aired. So
it is. It's a very moving film. It's a very sentimental film. A lot of it is, you can have weepy moments all the ways through. And that's what makes his redemption so wonderful, is that you just have this sense of relief that this man who seemed beyond turning into a nice guy becomes a nice guy in a way that is so extreme.
it's one of those few movies where you don't need more.
No.
It was a perfect story. You know, a lot of times now we stretch everything too long or you want more. We can get a sense through acting and writing of who Scrooge was and who he's become all in 90 minutes. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Alistair Sim did reprise the role of Scrooge in a 1971 animated feature. Have you ever seen that one?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I thought it was okay. It felt like the same animated style as those Lord of the Rings movies that were animated back in the day. Yeah, it was okay. Actually, believe it or not, I watched recently a Jim Carrey version where it's a 3D animated one, and even he did okay. There's a lot of Scrooges out there.
Yeah.
But when I close my eyes and think Scrooge, I see Alistair Sim's face.
Yeah. Actually, have you ever seen An American Christmas Carol with
Patrick Stewart?
No, Fonzie.
With the guy from
Yeah, from Happy Days.
Happy Days?
It's actually not bad. It was filmed in Elora, Ontario, not far from us here.
So it's
And
a
you can-
Canadian Christmas Carol.
No, it's not what they call it. It's American. It's supposed to be he's a furniture manufacturer or something like that.
Oh.
But Henry Winkler, sorry, I got to
Henry Winkler?
as Scrooge.
He was a furniture manufacturer.
Yeah, it's worth a look. It's not bad. It's not the greatest one, but I thought all things into consideration, because he was young at the time he did that. It was an admirable job. Now, this isn't our trivia question, but it could have been. Hermione Baddeley and Mervyn Jones played Mr. and Mrs. Cratchit in this movie, but there's another movie starring Hermione Baddeley and Jones's daughter that won might argue is equally famous.
Harry Potter?
No, too late. His daughter was Glynis Johns.
You're going to have to just
You're going to kick yourself. Mary Poppins.
Oh, I have heard of that movie.
Hermione Baddeley was the maid.
Oh, really?
Yep, to Glynis Johns. She was the wife of Mr. Banks.
Okay, there you go.
Wow, you just gave me a spoonful of sugar on that one.
There you go. As to our original question, what was the full name of the book? Anyone know it?
Oh, crap.
No. That was the sequel.
A Christmas Carol or the something ghosts?
No, A Christmas Carol in prose being a ghost story of Christmas. And I'm guessing they added in prose because A Christmas Carol sounds like it might be a song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
And I looked it up because I wanted to see if Carol had a different meaning at some point in time, but apparently it didn't. So
going back to a question you asked about whether this was a Halloween movie or not, it's absolutely a Christmas movie, but it might be the only one I know that relies on ghosts. Think about it, ghosts, which are to truly bring out the spirit of Christmas. How good is that?
It's one of the most profoundly original concepts for a Christmas movie.
Ever. Have we had a story this good about Christmas since? Like, we have Santa Claus, we have all that, but think of the movies. They're all rehashes of the same. This is original.
It almost always comes back to A Christmas Carol.
And it's always been influenced. Yeah. So, like, is there a Christmas movie that's modern? Like, we got Elf and stuff. Is there a Christmas movie that makes you feel like you've gone on this journey like this? Other than, I know it's goofy and fun, but a Christmas Vacation is really fun.
Yeah. Well,
but even his boss is a Scrooge.
And you are right.
It seems to be a theme, right?
It is a theme.
I think you nailed it when you said earlier that all of us have a little Scrooge in us.
Oh, my God. Let's end there. This has been Back to the Balcony.
So there we go. Well, for a different approach to this story, we'll be back in 2 weeks with Chris Jarvie and his wife, Christine Kinahan, to talk about 1992's The Muppets Christmas Carol. And here's our trivia question. What piece of acting advice did Kermit the Frog claim Michael Caine gave him? Your Christmas won't be complete without that podcast. And to be sure you don't miss it, hit the subscribe button right now. And this is your chance to help other listeners join in the Christmas fun. And all you have to do is rate and review the podcast. If you have that option, of course. It'll make Christmas just a little more jolly for everybody, especially us. By the by, I'd love to hear from you about movies you'd like us to talk about, changes we should make, anything that will make us more appealing to listeners like you. If you want to contact us, you can do so at balconypodcast@icloud.com. We're also on Facebook. Look for the microphone against the red background. Big thanks to Ryan Sim for doing this. Do you aspire to the heights your relative reached? Do you see yourself as an actor someday?
Well, I looked him up. He was 5'9", so he's taller than me, so I can't do it.
I think you'd make a fine elf.
And I think I know the trivia question about Kermit, his advice.
Okay, well, you can answer that after we go offline. We don't want to let the people know on this podcast, or else they won't bother listening to the next podcast.
But does it have to
Thank you very much, Scrooge. Way to go. This is actually coming out at the beginning of December. Do you have anything coming up in September? Any shows you want to promote?
December 22nd at 661 Barton Street East in Hamilton at Hendry's Barbershop, we have a special Christmas comedy. And who's the feature? Why, none other than Jimmy Jacob Marley, England himself. Check it out. He'll be dressed up, and I will be going as Scrooge.
Oh, I got to see it. And, of course, to Phil, my own little tiny Tim, do you have any plans around the Christmas holidays?
Just enjoying the time off.
Okay. I've never asked you this before. Do you get a real tree or an artificial one?
Every year it's a real tree. We've been cutting it down ever since my daughter was a little girl. So we just do it a tradition. So
that's nice. Do you still use candles?
Candles.
Because of what you're in your 15th house now, aren't you?
And I have something I've never asked. How do you deal with working with Jimmy all the time?
I know, it's insane. It's insane. He's the Scrooge. At first,
Let me just say bomb.
You called me Jacob. Oh no, you called me Bob Crackett. Now I'm Tiny Tim. Oh man, get it straight, Tim. Come on.
I thought
Either way, he's gonna throw you a shekel.
Big thanks again to everybody for doing it. As for me, Jimmy England, I'm not taking any chances this Christmas. I'm going to lock myself into a ghost-proof room until it all blows over. But don't worry, I'll be back in time for our next Back to the Balconies. Stay safe. Merry Christmas. I'm going to say it again, but Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.